Cancer, welcome to your February 2025 monthly horoscope. My name is Adeana. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and in this video, I will be walking you through each week of the month. And I've also selected a chart for each week to give you a bit of a visual. But I will also be touching on all of the major themes, topics, and events you will be navigating for the month ahead. We have quite a lot to go over. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. Now, before we get into the horoscope, let's just touch on the February 2025 transits. So, February 1st, we have Venus first forming a conjunction to Neptune at 27 degrees 59 minutes. And then a few hours later, on February 1st, we're going to have Venus forming a conjunction to the North Node at 28 degrees 9 minutes. Then February 3rd, we will have Mercury in Aquarius forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 11 degrees. On February 4th, we will have Venus entering Aries and Jupiter stationing direct. And this happens about an hour apart, roughly. Venus enters Aries and then Jupiter stations direct. Now, on February 6th, we're going to have our North Node Neptune conjunction at 28 degrees of Pisces. On February 9th, excuse me, on February 9th, we will have our Mercury Sun conjunction, which is a Mercury Cazimi at 21 degrees of Aquarius. And on that same day, on February 9th, we will have Mars retrograde in Cancer, forming a trine to Saturn in Pisces at 18 degrees. Then February 10th, we will have Mercury in Aquarius, forming a square to Uranus and Taurus at 23 degrees. And on February 12th, we will have our full moon in Leo at 24 degrees. Now, I don't touch too much on the lunations in the horoscope videos because I do make separate forecasts for all of the new moons and full moons. And I also get into all 12 rising signs. So make sure you watch for that. But I will touch just the general energy so you know the areas of life that the lunations are showing up for you. Now, February 14th, we will have Mercury entering Pisces. February 18th, we will have the Sun entering Pisces. And then February 23rd, we have Mars stationing direct at 17 degrees of Cancer. So this is a big day. We will touch on all of this energy. And then February 25th, we have Mercury forming a conjunction to Saturn in Pisces at 20 degrees. And February 27th, we will have our new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees. And where this will not be an eclipse, it will definitely feel quite powerful and will bring in themes, topics, and events that will play out over the next 18 months with this nodal story that is playing out in Pisces and Virgo. So let's get right into the horoscope. So, week one, February 1st, this is the chart that I have selected, which the chart for week one is around February 4th, 5th. So, February 1st is when we have our Venus conjunction to Neptune, first at 27 degrees 59 minutes, which is quite interesting. And that is in Pisces, and you have Pisces in your ninth house. So a lot of the energy going on in Pisces is in your ninth house, and your ninth house represents higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, religion, philosophy. All of your belief systems are in the ninth house. Um, Also, legal situations can show up in the ninth house. Long distance travel, teaching can also show up in the ninth house. So, having the North Node in the ninth house, you can decide to take a course. You can decide to go back to school. You can decide to travel a lot more. The North Node represents something new. And if you haven't checked out my lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo video, I'll link it up here and also link it at the end of this horoscope. Make sure you check that out. I get really deep into what the nodes in Pisces and Virgo can bring, what they represent, and I also get into all 12 rising signs. So you'll really get an idea of what can be kind of activated and changed over the next 18 months. And I say 18 months because the nodes take about 18 months to transit a sign. So they will be here until July 26th, kind of shaking this area of life up. And again, that north node represents a new direction, something new. And the south node represents where we need to release or let go of something. or it can also bring something back from the past because the South Node also represents the past. So when we have Venus forming a conjunction to Neptune and the North Node on February 1st in the ninth house, there can be, something to that story, that 18-month story that's playing out in this area of life, whether it is, Venus rules your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, uh, all networking is in the 11th house. All the groups and associations you are attached to is kind of represented in that 11th house. And Venus also rules your fourth house of home, family, property, and real estate, what you do behind the scenes. So when Venus forms a conjunction to Neptune, we do want to watch for rose-colored glasses over idealizing situations. So let's say you were planning on traveling or going back to school, taking a course, whatever is kind of showing up for you in this area of life. You want to make sure that it doesn't seem too good to be true or you're seeing things clearly. Venus conjunct Neptune, where it can be a very romantic, creative energy. It's where we can also over idealize situations or where things are a little bit confusing and we're not seeing things clearly. So we do want to kind of have that awareness. When Venus forms a conjunction to the North Node is where something can be presented that is a part of this kind of 18-month story playing out, whether that is like maybe you have a conversation with somebody that introduces you to a teacher and you end up taking that course. Or maybe you have a conversation with a friend or connect with a friend and you guys later on decide to travel. Something along those lines. There's like a milestone or a piece to the story that can show up on February 1st. So you definitely want to pay attention on that day to kind of what is presented when Venus forms the conjunction to the North Node. Then on February 3rd, when we have Mercury in Aquarius forming a trine to Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 11 degrees, Mercury is here in your eighth house. Your eighth house rules joint finances, your partner's finances, investments, also taxes, inheritance, psychological healing and transformation. The eighth house can also rule secrets, death, rebirth, the occult. So there's quite a lot kind of represented in that eighth house. And however this is aligning with you or resonating with you, whatever you're already kind of navigating at this time, whether it's with your partner's finances or maybe taxes, inheritance, whatever the case is, when Mercury forms a trine to Jupiter retrograde. And again, this chart is just for a couple days after this. That's why Jupiter's direct here. There can be, a really optimistic conversation or positive information coming in when Jupiter stations. And it's in your 12th house too. Mercury also ruling that 12th house. So the 12th house can represent things, places, people that are hidden, what's going on behind the scenes, sometimes what's going on behind the scenes that you don't even see. It represents your subconscious patterns, also self-undoing, self-sabotaging, escapism, karma. It's all represented in that 12th house. So Mercury forming a trine to Jupiter, it could be because these are like both houses that represent secrets, and like this isn't going to resonate with everybody or even show up for everybody in this way, but I'm sure for some of you, like I could see secrets coming out, like something you've been really wanting to know. It's like finally there for you to see. It could be some insight around something around your partner's finances or investments, those eighth house themes and topics. Um, and I would say more so like eighth house themes and topics. Mercury also rules your third house of communication, siblings, cousins, your mindset, also vehicles. Like for some, I'm sure this could even show up to like financing a vehicle and you finally get financing for the vehicle. That could be a clear representation of this energy. February 4th, we will have Venus entering Aries and Jupiter stations direct. And this happens kind of like an hour apart. So Venus is going to enter your 10th house of career, public reputation, your public image, authority figures, leadership, what you're known for out in the world. This is your public life, and your fourth house is your private life, just so you know. And Venus rules your fourth house. of home, family, property, real estate, your what you do behind the scenes, what you do in private, that's all in the fourth house. And we're going to have a Venus retrograde March 1st to April 12th. So Venus is going to station retrograde on March 1st. So this entire month of February, Venus is in pre-shadow. So we really want to be paying attention to what is showing up around, with Venus, even with Venus to the conjunction to Neptune and the North Node, whatever is presented at that time, you can be revisiting those themes and topics over the next few months. Venus will not exit post shadow, mean completely clear the retrograde cycle until May 15th. So we really are reassessing, revisiting themes, topics, situations, energies that are presented at this time throughout the whole month of February. So, again, this is your ninth house of higher education, higher knowledge, long distance travel, your belief systems, and your 10th house of your career, your public reputation. Um, and that's where Venus will be retrograding. But Venus rules your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, and online connections, all the groups and associations you're attached to, and also your fourth house of home, family, property, real estate, what you do behind the scenes, kind of what I mentioned before. And so Venus can be working with all of those areas of life. So again, pay attention the entire month of February to what's showing up, especially when we have activations to Venus, like with the North Node and Neptune. That's when something can present itself, whether it's an event or energy of some kind, a person, whatever the case is, that you'll be revisiting. Now, when Jupiter stations direct, it's here in your 12th house. So, Jupiter rules your sixth house of work, health, and daily routine. So, the routine you have at work, the labor that you put, the sixth house doesn't represent your career, but the duties within your career, the labor within your career, what you do on a day-to-day basis at work, what you do on a day-to-day basis at home. All your routines are in that sixth house. Your health is in the sixth house. Your nutrition habits, pets are in the sixth house. So when Jupiter stations direct, there can be, something presented around this area of life, but not necessarily because it still is kind of subtle. So it'll show up for everyone a little bit differently. And especially because Jupiter's in that 12th house, and the 12th house tends to suppress energy. Now, on February 6th, we will have the North Node forming a conjunction to Neptune, or Neptune forming a conjunction to the North Node, however you want to look at it. We will have our North Node Neptune conjunction at 28 degrees of Pisces in your ninth house. So, again, this is where something can present itself around this 18-month story that is playing out in this area of life. So, maybe wanting to go back to school, wanting to travel, wanting to teach, wanting to publish something around the justice system or legal issues, your belief systems, religion, philosophy, all those ninth house themes and topics. So definitely pay attention on this day to what is presented. On February 9th, we will have our Mercury Sun conjunction, which is a Mercury cazimi when the Sun and Mercury form a conjunction within 11 minutes. And this is an Aquarius in your eighth house. So this is where there can be information, a message, a conversation, or some insight around whatever you're navigating in this area of life. So your partner's finances, investments, a loan, or maybe even psychological healing and transformation. Maybe you're taking a journey with, occult topics or secrets. This is where a secret could be revealed with this Mercury Sun conjunction. So again, pay attention on this day because you could have, a really important message or information coming here. And then if you have the awareness, you tend to sometimes pick up on these things more so than if you just think it's an ordinary day and there's no, major transits going on. So this is a date you'd want to just note down so that you can pay attention to the conversations you're having and your environment, and you have that awareness of your thoughts and all that. Also on February 9th, we're going to have Mars retrograde and Cancer forming a trine to Saturn in Pisces at 18 degrees. So Mars has been retrograde in your first house, which has probably been quite difficult. Depending on your personal relationship with Mars, this may have felt like Mars retrograde in general, it just kind of sucks because we have lack of motivation. We don't have a lot of drive or energy. We really have to like, unless you're natally Mars retrograde, you have tend to have a difficult time with this, but especially in Cancer because Mars is already at fall in Cancer, doesn't do the greatest at Cancer in Cancer, and then now retrograde. So this is really difficult. Like you may have been struggling with energy, motivation, drive, really kind of being assertive, getting going. There could be a lot of passive aggressive energy with Mars retrograde in Cancer too. So Mars stationed retrograde December 6th, but Mars entered shadow October 5th. So we've really been in these energies for quite a few months. So if you think back to that time period, what was showing up for you, that might help kind of give you an idea. Now, it'll be nice because February 23rd, Mars will station direct, which we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But I just wanted to touch on some of the Mars retrograde energy. Forms a trine to Saturn in Pisces. A trine is very positive. We can have some support. It's water. It's a water-based trine, so it can be very emotional, very intuitive. This is where we can have, generally Mars retrograde in Cancer can bring a lot of emotions back from the past. It can bring a lot of emotions around family dynamics. It can, a lot of emotions can be resurfacing with this energy, especially too because in January we had Mars retrograde forming a sextile to Uranus retrograde, and I think that kind of was shaking up some emotional things, our emotional foundations and stuff. I kind of posted about it on my social media, but I don't want to like get into it now, but if there was something that was presented, around January and activated with that sextile around, emotions resurfacing, whether it is around relationships or family dynamics. Um, there can be maybe something really beautiful coming in at this time with this trine from Saturn or to Saturn, um, where you get some really positive support, maybe from a teacher. Like Saturn usually rules commitments, responsibilities, discipline. But whatever is presented at this time, it's going to be long lasting because it has the Saturnian energy. Saturn's all about hard work, dedication, commitments, responsibilities. So Saturn can bring, hardship and limitation and challenge, but it's a trine. So I'd like to think there's something, really supportive coming in at this time. Then we get to week 2, February 10th. We will have Mercury in Aquarius forming a square to Uranus in Taurus at 23 degrees. So Mercury will still be in Aquarius at this point at 23 degrees, forming a square to Uranus. So Uranus is currently in your 11th house. You have Taurus in your 11th house of friends and friendships, social groups, online connections, networking, all the groups and associations that you are attached to, which we kind of already went over. So when Mercury forms a square to Uranus, there might be, some unexpected conversations that you're having. Again, Mercury rules your 12th house and your third house. So yeah, the third house is ruled by, um, in the third house, there's siblings, cousins, communication, vehicles, your community, your neighbors. So you could be having like some type of difficult conversation with a sibling or a neighbor or within your community that you're having to address. A square is usually tension, or it could be like a stop, a hold, and it could come out of nowhere because it's that Uranus energy. So it could be, disruptive and kind of out of the blue. And then February 12th, we will have our full moon in Leo at 24 degrees. So I'm not going to touch too much on the lunations because I make separate forecasts for all the new moons and full moons and get into all 12 rising signs. But you have Leo in your second house of money, finances, material possessions, your personal values. So all of those themes and topics will be highlighted at the time of this full moon in Leo. And also think back to 6 months prior when we had the new moon in Leo, any intentions that you were setting around money, finances, material possessions, or personal values. Now you can see those intentions manifesting. Now, February 14th, we will have Mercury entering Pisces. And then we get into week 3, and February 18th, we have the Sun entering Pisces. So we have a lot more energy entering this ninth house of, again, higher education, long distance travel, teaching, publishing, your belief systems, philosophy. On February 23rd is when we have Mars stationing direct at 17 degrees of Cancer. So if you have your ascendant around this, you're already going to feel this. More so than some of the other signs, like Aries will feel this, Scorpio, because Mars is like their ruler, but Mars literally being in your first house, like you're really going to feel this. So if you have your ascendant around that 17 degrees, you will feel this more intensely. Can stir up something like Mars rules your 10th house of career. So it could bring in something around your career. Mars stationing direct, and also just Mars retrograde may have been having you reflecting a lot on your career and your public image, public reputation, and the direction that you want to go in that area of life. Mars is also the co-ruler of your fifth house. Your fifth house rules children, creativity, romance, romantic connections, what you're passionate about, your hobbies, your interests. So, the Mars retrograde may have also had you rethinking and reevaluating those themes and topics associated with that area of life as well. So the Mars station now between, February 23rd and when does Mars leaves post shadow May 3rd. So between February 23rd and May 3rd is when we will finally get resolution, conclusion, more clarity to whatever it was we were reevaluating since December 6th, and really the energy and themes, topics, and events we were in since October 5th. Then we get to our fourth week of February, and on the 25th of February, we will have Mercury forming a conjunction to Saturn and Pisces at 20 degrees. So this is going to be in your ninth house. So again, there can be like, it depends on your personal relationship with Saturn. There could be a really challenging conversation that you're needing to have, or you can have a really good conversation with somebody, and it has to do with maybe taking that course or traveling or, something along those lines of those ninth house themes and topics. And then February 27th, we have our new moon in Pisces at 9 degrees. And where this is not an eclipse, this is still going to be quite powerful. So there is still going to be energies, themes, events, topics showing up in this ninth house around these themes and topics that will play a part in the 18-month journey and story playing out in this area of life. So there will be something presented, and you definitely want to set intentions at this time to help guide this new direction that you're moving into. So I hope this helps you navigate the energy for February. This kind of gives you an idea of, the areas of life this energy is working with, and just gives you a heads up of kind of what's going on. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you align with my energy and enjoy my content. And also, if you would like to book a one-on-one consultation with me, I will put the link in the description below. You can check out my website. I offer birth chart readings, solar return readings, lunar return readings. We have a 90-minute birth chart one-on-one Zoom consultation where I, for 90 minutes, dive deep into your birth chart. We also go through all of the current transits and how they are showing up for you. Or you can have a 90-minute solar return reading, which is basically a personal year ahead forecast. We analyze your solar return chart, compare it to your birth chart and your new year chart, and really get a clear representation of major themes, topics, and events that you'll be navigating for the next 12 months. And then I also offer a lunar return. A session. It's an hour long. It's for the next 3 months. It's like a 90-day forecast, and we analyze your lunar return chart for the next 3 months, compare it to your birth chart, and that gives you a really good idea of major themes, topics, and events you'll be navigating for the next 3 months. I also offer youth readings, like child chart readings, and a few other things. So make sure you check out the link below, and I will connect with you all in the next one.